Hi, Rowlett. My name is Whitney Lanning. I'm running for re-election for council member place 4 for the city of Rowlett. I've lived in Rowlett for 23 years. Well, I have a list because I'm actually quite involved in the community since I've been here. So let me just go through some of the highlights here and let you know what I've done. Back when we had the tornado in 2015, I led the recovery effort on the long-term recovery committee. I have had 2 times on the Charter Review Commission as a chair and vice chair. I have been a vice chair of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, which is actually very, very important because that's the guiding force for where we see Rowlett going in the future. I've also been the council liaison and a full member of the Economic Development Advisory Board. I've been on the Community Investment Advisory Board, which is also known as kind of the bond board. I have been a organizing member of the Rowlett COAD, which is the Community Organizations Active in Disaster. So that's another kind of disaster group that would help the city in any type of an emergency or crisis. I am a part of the North Central Texas Council of Governments Emergency Preparedness Planning Committee. That is a very long deal, but that's basically a regional committee that looks at emergency preparedness for the entire 16-county Council of Government area for North Central Texas. I am the first vice chair of the Regional Citizen Corps Council of North Central Texas. And then on a personal level, I'm the president and co-founder of the Rowlett Citizen Corps Council. You may better know that as CERT and some of the other programs that we have, but we've been around now for 20 years within the city. I have been a chair and a board member of the Chamber of Commerce. I've been a chair of the Rowlett Chamber Foundation. Back in 2001, I was one of the first classes that went through the Citizens Fire Academy. And something kind of unique, I am a graduate of Class 2 Region 1 for the DPS Citizen Police Academy. So that's for the state police. And so all of those things, I think, make me a very, very involved and connected community volunteer. And this pin I wear today actually is a call to service award that I got from the president for my volunteer service. My driving motivation is really to leave Rowlett in a better condition than what I found it. I've been here for 23 years, so I feel like I have a very good feeling for the areas where we need emphasis. And so my drive is to leave it a little bit better than what I found it. So actually, that piece of that service for the past 3 years that I have served does give me a unique perspective on things because I know how the system works inside, and I am able to move things around and put emphasis on different areas of the budget to be able to make things work. So I believe that gives me a very good perspective on where things need to go. So I really have 3 objectives. One is investing in our infrastructure and keeping our roads and alleys in good condition. The second is making sure that we fully fund public safety so that we not only maintain but increase our quality of life. And our third is to embrace economic development so that we can tell folks that Rowlett is open for business instead of just waiting for them to come to us. I am absolutely in favor of using bond money to fund the repair and maintenance of alleys and roadways. We currently have about $150 million in maintenance and repair needs over probably a 10-year period that we're going to be faced with. And bonds are really the only way with our small budget to be able to combat that. So I'm a big advocate of our 3-year bond cycle. And I would like to see us continue that with a dedicated portion of between 30 and 40 million dollars specifically going toward street and alley maintenance. Now, that only covers the maintenance portion. It does not cover new initiatives like Miller Road Bridge or the Merritt Road Connector or any roads that we choose to expand from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. So those are additional incentives that would have to be paid for in another way or increasing the bond. But as a general standard, I would love to see us putting investment into roads of at least 30 to 40 million dollars every 3 years. One of the great things that we did in our current budget is that we bought some enhanced equipment that will help us to do more effective, timely, and more quality pavement condition indexing ratings. So folks have commonly talked about PCI ratings, and they're actually available on the city's website. You can look and see what your road rates on a scale of 1 to 100, being 100 the best and 1 the worst. And typically the way that has done in the past was the city was divided up into 4 quadrants, and each quadrant was done once a year. So your street was only rated once every 4 years. This new piece of equipment that we bought allows us to do the entire city in a month. So that has a number of great things, right? Once, it gives us more timely and up-to-date information, but it also allows us to not only give your street a rating, it allows us to see how quickly it is deteriorating. So that then when we have all these funds that we need to apply, we can look at that and apply the funds to the worst of the worst roads instead of just kind of guessing where we need to place that money. Sure. Multifamily had kind of crept up on us. All of a sudden, we had multifamily popping up all over the city, and it really wasn't anything that council had done. We haven't approved, and I should say council has not approved any new apartment facilities in the past 3 years since I've been on council. What you see is a influx of apartments that were approved before then. They have finally gotten their building permits and started putting sticks in the air. So in order to try to quelch that, I was part of an effort on council to create a special use permit that would then require all new multifamily applications coming into the city to come before council for a vote. That would also include anything that was done by right. By right means that a developer could come in, the zoning was automatically set, there were no changes that had to be made, and they could automatically, or not automatically, but they could put in their paperwork for a planned development, have that approved at a lower level, and then start building almost right away. So we were able to quelch that, be able to put a tamper on that, so that then we could make the decision of whether that apartment complex was appropriate for the time and for the place that it was being built. Now, having said all of that, I'm a big advocate for taking care of our seniors. It's very, very dear and near to my heart that I feel seniors are precious. And so they've got to have a place to live. There's a lot of seniors that want to downgrade. They don't want to live in a 3,200 square foot home anymore. They'd much rather move into an apartment where they don't have the yard to maintain and all of the household bills and things like that. And we have a real shortage there of that type of housing. So I'm very encouraged by some things that the Rowlett Housing Commission is doing, but we need to have more in that area to really take care of our seniors. It is our most highly growing demographic in the next 10 years. So the comprehensive plan and the future land use map are what I feel guides for the council. And so it's the will of the people is the way that I look at it. So I think that when proposals come up, one of the things that the council should look at very strongly is what the will of the people was when they determined those plans. And only in extraordinary circumstances should they deviate from those. So first I'll say I feel your pain. I'm a resident of Rowlett, and we water our lawn and all that kind of stuff. And it's always said that we were watering with gold. And I can tell you now that we've done some pretty great things. For the past 3 years, we've been able to lower either the water or the sewer rate. We have increased our utility bond rating to an AA minus, which has a lot of great effects for us as a city. And then with all that happening, we are now no longer the highest charging water facility in the Metroplex. We are in the middle of the pack. So that's a good distinction. It's a good place to be. I think there's still work to be done. The new contract for the North Texas Municipal Water District comes up for renewal in 2024, and we've already started negotiations on that contract. There are some points on that we don't like, that we are trying to change, and we are hopeful that we'll be successful with that. I think one of the things we need to do is to tell them that we're here. In the past, I think that we've taken a very lackadaisical approach, that we've really waited for them to come see us before we have approached them for a number of different reasons. I believe that that's changed here in the past year. We're doing a much better job now. However, we still need help in the marketing area. I really feel like there's some targeted funding that needs to happen there to increase our funding efforts, and also our funding efforts toward marketing, and then also to be able to just tell folks that we're here and we're open for business. That's a big job, and I think that we have the right people in the right place now to make that work. That's the start of where that will happen. Sure. Rowlett has somewhat of a disadvantage as far as their toolbox for economic development. We don't have an economic development corporation like many other cities around us do, because we chose to take that 1 penny of sales tax and send it to DART instead. And that is why we have the DART station now. But given that, we have a lot of other tools that we could use to attract businesses. But my feeling is that those tools really should be reserved for commercial businesses rather than residential businesses, because of the amount of city services, the cost of city services that we have to provide to a residential neighborhood. It really doesn't make sense for us to give them an incentive to come in on a residential side when we have to go right back and put all that money right back into the system because of the public safety protection, the water and sewer lines that we have to run, the streets that we have to build to make that a successful effort. It is a much better equation to go the other route and look at using incentives to attract commercial businesses, because commercial businesses are what are going to lower your residential property tax. So right now that divide is about 77% residential and then 23% commercial. That has changed over the past 10 years in a good way. It's come down from 80 to 77, but we need to keep pushing that. That's the only real property relief that our taxpayers are going to get. So we've actually done really well on our tax rate. So there's a whole education process of what the tax rate means versus valuation and who can affect that, and the different players in that business. But for Rowlett's piece of that pie, we have not raised taxes for over 10 years. In fact, we've reduced them several times. So our tax rate right now is the best it's ever been. In fact, it's the lowest it's been in over 10 years. So I plan to keep it that way. I think that we can definitely do some great things that are there. However, I will say that there are some plans on that are developing that may increase that rate, such as new facilities for the city. That could very possibly result in some type of a tax increase. We have not decided that yet. We have not seen the final plans for that, and won't probably until this summer. But then that's important that we move in those directions, because we have an older animal shelter. Our city hall is over 100 years old in an antique building. We have the police officers working in a building where it's difficult to hire new ones because they don't have any space to put their lockers. So all of that combined, we have a facilities problem, and it's one that we can't ignore any longer. So for a year of my tenure, I sat on the court governance committee, and then I rolled off of that committee. And because of that, I am privy to inside information on this issue that is a personnel issue. And so I'm restricted by both executive session and by personnel law from revealing a lot of those pieces that I know. However, what I can tell you is that I'm very excited to see that we've already started a very public process to hire a new police chief, and really a police chief that will take us into the future, into a city that will be at 100,000 within 10 years, and that will be able to handle all of the emerging issues that are coming along with that. So I'm excited to see the process, to see us get started. I was extremely happy to see us do the public venues where our citizens could come in and tell us what they wanted out of a police chief. I don't know that we've done that before, and I think it's really, really important that we get citizens involved in knowing what their next police chief's going to be. So in 10 years, I see Rowlett being probably within 5% of build out. What that means is that our population will be over 100,000, that we will have both Sapphire Bay and North Shore built out, and that we will be dealing with just fill-in residential neighborhoods and not any big new ones happening. So at that point, I think that the city transitions out of a rapid growth method or a process to really just a maintenance piece. And there, quality of life becomes the most important thing. So in 10 years, I would say that we would have a budget shift from a growth piece to that quality of life piece. So we'll see more funding going toward parks and trails and the wet zone and events around town, really to enhance the quality of life that we all have. Well, thanks for asking me that, because I've wanted to express my opinion about that since I returned from vacation. So I took a 2-week family vacation that was planned long in advance, that I had let both city staff and acting or interim mayor Matt Grubishich know that I was going to be out of town. So my first hint that this was going to happen was when I saw on vacation, I checked my email and saw that this was going to be on the agenda. And I was quite shocked at that point. I'm a little disturbed, not a little, a lot disturbed, that they did this without my knowledge, without my input, and without me being involved at all in the deliberations. So having all said that, I have looked at the information that's publicly available. Obviously, I wasn't able to be there for the executive session, so I don't know what happened during that time. But from the charging document that was presented, I really didn't see anything there that was a smoking gun. I didn't see any direct evidence. I saw a lot of conjecture, and I saw a lot of assumptions. So my opinion is, and my vote would, based on that, would have been to not go with the PAC and vote against the council. So I'm very disturbed that they chose to disregard a sitting council member from that process. I feel that it was very disingenuous for them to do that, and I really shame on them. Shame on them. Well, again, my name is Whitney Lanning. I'm running for re-election for City Council, Place 4, and I would appreciate your vote. I feel like my combination of knowledge and experience over the past 3 years, and in my volunteer experience over the past 23 years since I've lived here, does qualify me for this position. I feel that I'm the most experienced candidate running for Place 4, and I desire your vote. So please consider me on May 7th, and we wish you the best. Running for office is not for the lighthearted. It is a very difficult decision, one that impacts not only yourself, but your family and your whole existence. And so I applaud Mike for jumping into the ring, being willing to be vulnerable, and for really taking at heart the intent to run for office. It's not an easy job, and I wish him luck.